Hi, this is Bryan Konietzko, co-creator, and I'm also the executive producer and art director of Avatar. Hey, this is Mike DiMartino, co-creator, and I also wrote this episode. You're also an executive producer. Yes, I am. And you're the story editor. That's true, too.
Hi, this is Jeremy Zuckerman. I am the music composer.
Hello, children. My name is Benjamin Wynn. I do sound design on Avatar.
Yeah. So, this is what episode, Mike? This is the first part of a two-part exciting Day of Black Sun storyline. What does that mean, Day of Black Sun? It's the day of the eclipse. Oh, I get it. And this is something we came up with, like, a long time ago. The invasion. Yeah, I remember the name, the Day of Black Sun, was like something we came up with during the development part. 2002? Yeah, we knew there was going to be an eclipse, and I don't know, we gave it a cool name. You did, I remember.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
This show really gets me going.
Anyways, so we're back.
All right.
Yeah. Back here at the same place we were in episode 309, and now Sokka's the one freaking out. It was Aang the previous day, but now Sokka's all spazzed out about this big crazy day they're about to.
This is a big moment to shine. It's like he's been planning this invasion for months.
He's the one who came up with the idea, and pitched it to the Earth King.
So the pressure's on.
This is a big episode. This is winding up to the invasion.
And this is one you guys just finished not that long ago, right?
It was like half an hour ago.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Big arrival. And then, after you achieved this amazing, crazy piece of work, we gave you 311 right after it, which was just as crazy, if not crazier.
Yeah.
So this was a fun episode to write, just from the standpoint that we could bring back all these characters that we'd seen previously, but it was also a challenge to quickly reintroduce everyone and get the story moving. So there are all these little vignettes with everyone.
Right. This was another one. Yeah, we didn't want it to sound like super edited musically.
Yeah.
So we sort of had to tie this whole section in, even though there's all these different themes coming in and out.
It was also a challenge because sound design-wise, it's pretty much every bit of sound design I've done in any other episode, all in one.
Waterbending.
Let's just pause for a moment to recognize Haru's mustache.
He does look.
I remember Brian came in one day with Haru's design and just drew a mustache on him, kind of jokingly, and then we were all like, "Yes, he must have a mustache."
It startled me when
He's got the little soul patch too.
Yeah. Well, he's a man now.
That is true.
Happy to see Blind Bandit.
Who's that voice? It's pretty great.
Well, that one for the boulder there is Mick Foley.
Mick Foley, famous wrestler.
Oh, it is?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he really
And then who does the hippo?
Actually, it's Kevin Michael Richardson, I believe, who does the voice of Tyro.
I did not know.
Yeah. And the Mechanist and Teo come back.
Now, I remember at Comic-Con, Teo got a huge applause when everybody saw him.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm not really sure why.
That was in this episode, right?
Yeah, the clip was from this episode.
Yeah.
People like Teo, Mike. He flies.
It's cool. I'm glad they like him.
I like the sync tongue movement.
It actually does sound like a fart on TV.
It's slimy. Now you can tell us.
So even though this is Aang's new glider, the design is actually based on the original concept that I did for Aang's glider. Because way back when Mike and I first came up with the idea, Aang was going to come from a much more advanced society from much farther in the past, and so it was a little bit more kind of futuristic looking glider. So we kind of based it on Momo's wings, like bat wings, and brought it into the Avatar world. But with the Mechanist, he's kind of a little inventor, so it can be a little more technical.
Little fun fact that this guard woman is played by Serena Williams, the famous tennis star, who was a big Avatar fan, and so we thought it'd be cool for her to do a voice.
It was crazy. Kisu and I were in the gym doing some kung fu reference for episode 304.
And Nickelodeon here?
Yeah, and just like, fighting with these like foam practice swords, and it was crazy. And I turn around and Serena Williams is standing there watching us, and she's like, "Wow, you guys get a pretty good workout at your job." And I'm thinking,
Wow, that's a lot.
I don't think I could play for 30 seconds against Serena Williams without keeling over from exhaustion. So it was a compliment, though not deserved.
I love this acting on Sokka.
God, it's
so funny.
It's funny.
Chris Sokka's themes.
I love
The
it.
music
I
you
love
did
it.
for this is incredible. Like,
I know.
I didn't even think it was possible to write music that was appropriate for this.
I just love the way it gets interrupted by
Yeah, I remember I had written like maybe half of what is here now, and then in the animatic we needed more to like cover the time. And Bryan came up with the Haru's mustache.
I love the Haru's mustache.
And then we cut to Haru right here. And he's a little self-conscious.
And I didn't like Aang at first, but I grew to love him.
And that Suki dressed him up as a girl and then kissed him.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
It looks like a smiley face, doesn't it? This looks like a skull wearing sunglasses.
You know what? You're not the first person to say that.
No way.
Yeah. So these maps took a lot of time to make, but they were fun. It's fun to switch up styles and get to do something more, graphic like that. This great acting on the boulder by Giancarlo Volpe, the director of this episode.
What's that?
Giancarlo Volpe, he did the acting poses on the boulder, like the drawing.
Right.
When we say acting, it refers to both the drawings that interpret the voice and the voice.
So it's confusing.
So that's all like, waterbending variation, the themes, the waterbending theme variations on that.
Oh, because it's the Water Tribe?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean water tribe, not waterbending theme.
We finally get to see Appa's new armor, which Sokka's been working on for a while. It's revealed, and
Aang proving himself to be tougher than you thought. He can shave with no cream.
that hurts me when I see it, because I shave my head every day, and I'm like, man, if I had to shave with a rock. And he gets it really smooth, too. It's quite
It's
amazing.
a very special rock.
He's the Avatar.
He's actually earthbending while he's doing it. He's sharpening the blade as he shaves.
And I love we only have a few scenes of Zuko in this episode. But I really like that he doesn't. There's not a lot of dialogue in him. I think he says a couple lines later, but just these quiet moments of him preparing for the big confrontation with his father in the next episode.
When we were talking about the story with the writers and Aaron Ehaas, it was the idea I think that Aaron had for this episode was that that Zuko's big battle is just facing his father, and it's sort of paralleled this huge, battle. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
It was. So I think Aaron was in favor of, and Mike as he was writing it, that Zuko didn't need a lot of action or interaction in this episode because it was such a big thing that we've been aiming towards for years now for him.
Do you mean Sokka?
Zuko.
Oh.
Zuko's he's preparing to face his father and betray his father and his country. So
It's interesting because when you were saying that, I was thinking that Sokka was going through something similar with his father.
I'm sure that's what Aaron and Mike had in mind. I mean, that's what you try to do with this. You try to do with the B plots is a lot of times support the theme or find some kind of consistent theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels between the characters and
their
their relationships with each other.
Yeah, like the last one we talked about, 306, all these parallels for Aang and Zuko.
So how do you do sound design for like a crazy firewall?
I'll tell you right after this break. So yeah, those can be kind of tough because they're the culmination of so many different kinds of sounds from so many different places. You look at sounds from factories or big machinery that make sort of ratchet sounds and big metal clanks and stuff like that. And then
Because you don't have, like, if we say, oh, we need a giant metal, like, chain net rising out of the ocean, I mean, you can't just
fire-breathing statue.
Yeah, you can't go to a sound effects CD and find that. So you have to find, like, non-literal sounds that...
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the game of sound design is figuring out what things actually sound like and what you can attach them to,
Like what sounds can stand for other sounds.
Yeah, like I have all these like sort of little, almost like gags or like toys or little things that make sound that end up in the show pretty often because once you disassociate them from the object, from the visual object, they can sound very different, especially if you modify them, pitch them up or down, and stuff like that.
Attach them gesturally to.
Yeah, a lot of it is the envelope, that you would apply to it, and.
Now, can you explain what an envelope is? I think you did in the little DVD feature.
Right. Yeah, I had some of those lips that was. I look very dorky, but yeah.
What's an envelope though?
Oh yeah, so if sound goes, it's like starting quiet and going loud. That would be an envelope.
So the envelope is the shape of that sound.
It's the amplitude. It's the volume. It's the shape of the volume.
So you can apply the shape of the volume from one sound to another sound file.
Yep.
Right?
Or you could just modify the shape of an existing sound.
Mm-hmm. And that can apply to the pitch or all kinds of things. The idea of an envelope.
Well, like, what do you mean by pitch? Like what if
low to high?
Like a high pitch? Like you could take a sound and pitch it up?
Like this? Exactly! Awesome.
And see, mine is much lower. Oftentimes when I'm at home, I just walk around talking like this.
So you pitched your voice down.
Exactly.
Oh, I get it.
Exactly.
I'm gonna put a waiver on my pitch. Whoa, that was crazy.
Jeremy, how did you do that?
I grabbed my throat. Don't do this at home. It could hurt you could hurt yourself. Now, is that frequency modulation? Exactly. Like FM radio? It is the same thing. I don't even know what that means. Frequency modulation radio. What does that mean? It means that the signal is encoded on some kind of frequency. Other than that, I don't know anymore. All right, don't ask. That's cool. But in some way...
Hey guys, it's the radio.
In some way, it's like shaking your throat while you talk. That's how you hear pop songs. Well, modulation means change. Oh. And the frequency is being changed when I do that. I get it. That's sound design, y'all. That's right.
All right, that's enough, guys. Come on. This is a very serious moment we're about to watch.
This is true. This is going to anger probably 50% of our fans.
It's true. The fans seem to be split on whether they want Aang or Zuko to end up with Katara.
But if you watch carefully, watch Katara's reaction. It's ambiguous.
We don't know. We don't know
what's
going
on.
So this, unlike the previous episode, this is the real deal, people.
No dream.
They really kissed right here.
I got a little emotional.
You see that little look? That little look off to the side? What is she thinking?
That look.
We don't know. Did she like it? Did she not like it? I don't know.
I gotta say, I'm in the Aang Katara camp.
Yeah.
All right.
That's called Katang.
I'm with Katang. All about it.
Zutaras are fierce, though. I tell you,
They are fierce.
they're
Tenacious.
fierce and passionate.
But I mean, they're not supposed to be together.
That's what makes
So,
it so great.
Ben, how would you do, like, underwater sound? Like, that kind of, when the camera goes underwater and there's that.
Right. A lot of that, there's something, just filtering a sound of regular waves, taking out all the high end. And
So high end is, like, high frequencies, like higher noises.
Exactly. And, I mean...
So when you're underwater, that naturally gets filtered out because water won't carry those kinds of sounds.
That's absolutely right. Excuse me. That's right.
I like this shot. So here comes some craziness.
So it begins. This is probably one of the craziest acts that I can remember.
And this episode has probably some of the most CG vehicles we've done in the show.
And we always knew, I mean, even before we started the series production, we always knew that these 310 and 311 were going to be really difficult. It's always hard to do battle scenes, even in big budget live action movies. It's a challenge, and certainly for a kids animated TV show, trying to do a whole military.
Yeah, and I think like the challenge with those is like you try to focus on characters that you relate to. Like I remember when I was writing, and then when everyone was storyboarding, like always being sure like if there was a cool action scene, it involved like Aang or well in this case Katara or Sokka, characters we knew and cared about. Like even though an action scene might be cool, if it's just like random Earthbender number 5, you don't really care that much. You're like, who's that guy? I don't know.
Yeah, you sort of your attention span starts waning. At least mine does. Those big mindless battles.
I got a good one for you. You know how we're talking about sounds that associate with other things. When they ice bend, a lot of that is lettuce.
Really?
Right.
No way. Because it's kind of crunchy.
Yeah. Food, you can get a lot of stuff from food.
It's crazy. So
even nutrients.
This is like a giant food fight, right?
It's funny.
Kids, when you become sound designers, you can have food fights all day long.
So now we reveal the Earthbender tanks.
So the craziness begins.
So how challenging are these kind of epic battle scenes to do, guys?
Quite.
They're about as challenging as it gets with the show, I think.
There's just so much to track.
There's so much to track, so many moments to hit, but yet you don't want to be cluttered.
So Jeremy, how do you? I always wonder on anything like this, like, because when I do music, I stick to a tempo, or it might change in the middle of the song once, but these cuts are kind of random when they happen, and the moments that you have to accent. How do you get them to fall on a beat?
Well, I'll sort of like determine what are the most important moments, and I'll make a marker, which is, it's just sort of a technical thing where you just sort of like can see on a timeline where it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just figure out a tempo where that marker will land on a downbeat. And if it's really like a dramatic moment, I sort of want it to land like in the beginning of it's called a measure. I guess I don't want to get too technical musically right now, but it's basically like, so a phrase would end or start at that moment. And then, I sort of just like do subtle tweaks to the tempo to make them hit these important moments, and the smaller moments, I sort of just have to come up with these musical lines that support them and sound natural, but don't sound forced.
And then now, as the series has progressed, I've noticed you've done some really cool and adventurous changes in tempo, even just creatively. Like we just watched 311, the episode after this, and you were really playing with different odd time signatures and retardandos where the music would slow down. And
yeah, there's been a lot of actually throughout. I try not to make it too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It should feel pretty natural. But even I forget which episode, the swamp. There's
204.
204. Yeah, there's a cue in there that's in 15, 16. Which, if anyone knows music out there, that they'll know what that means. If you don't, it sound like
very
gibberish.
Not a common time signature.
It's sort of odd, but you don't want it to really sound odd. Well, I mean, sometimes I do want something to sound odd, and then I will do that.
Because sometimes the note we give you is like, oh, this should sound uneasy or unresolved or really tense, and sometimes those kinds of odd time signatures and things like that can heighten those feelings, right?
Sometimes, yeah, definitely. And sometimes they're just sort of like happy accidents, I guess, where I'll just sort of come up with a line without really thinking about the meter, which is the time signature, and it'll naturally be an odd time signature, which is sort of the best way that happens because it's more natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it was doing a lot of stuff like that with the taiko drums and things like that in 311.
Take out that battlement. I got
Very
this
cool.
one.
Ben, I really love this little vignette of sound when Hakoda. It's a great scene where there's an off-screen battle, and I thought you did a fantastic job with that scuffle. It's really dramatic, and I like how the music kind of drops out right here. It's so startling, like that explosion, all the sounds leading up to it.
Yeah, this episode is, these really big action things are just, it's a culmination of everything that's really happened on the show before. Even, all the past characters and the tanks and all the machinery and all the different explosions and stuff. So,
A lot of editing.
A lot of stuff. It's fun though. I mean, it's rewarding when it's done. You know.
It's always nice to watch it back after it's, we're getting ready to send it off. Because it's just sort of like you're so in it, and you can step back and sort of be like, it works. Hopefully.
So by this point, you guys have done like 51 episodes or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 51. It's pretty crazy.
Plus the pilot and the
Yeah.
pencil test.
It's been like what, 3 years so far?
4 years since the pencil test.
Yeah.
We did this way back, right after we pitched the show. We decided to do a little like pencil test, and pencil test is just like rough animation that you don't clean up, but you just see the pencil drawings on the white paper. And some friends really graciously helped us out, and this was, Ben and Jeremy were getting out of school, and Ben and I were roommates. And, Mike and I really wanted them to, be the people who'd get this gig if we got picked up. So, we were testing out things visually and animation-wise in this little homemade thing, and then it was a good chance to give them something to work on. Because, I mean, obviously, technically, and talent-wise, I knew these guys could do it. It was just a matter of, they just hadn't.
Convincing.
Yeah, they just hadn't done a TV series.
Yeah, there was a lot of
before.
stuff to learn. I mean,
Yeah.
Tons of stuff to learn.
And for that matter, even though Mike and I had worked on TV, we'd never made our own show. So there's.
It's been really cool and kind of crazy to see the whole progression. I mean, I remember seeing early line drawings and black and white drawings.
Because I was just at that point working at home in our the house that Ben and I rented. But I remember a really funny moment because Ben was there and saw all of this stuff, and I remember you were in the other room as Mike and I were in the computer room writing the original pitch. But one day I think we brought the pilot home, or it was the animatic for the pilot, and Ben just goes, "Momo flies."
I think I had a few funny moments like that.
So how'd you make that little sound? I love that sound.
It's I have an analog synthesizer.
So even that was the Schweiman.
Yep.
Wow. Because that just sounds like something physical, like rubbing rubbing a little, like a plate or something.
Yeah. No, I've gotten lots of really just great things. I mean, I really do find a difference between working with analog gear and digital gear, like computers and stuff. Because
without boring Mike, what's the difference?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, with the analog gear, you're really like controlling electricity in a much more direct way than with the computer. Which you are as well, but it's much more removed. And so with analog gear, it just has this quality of something that's somehow more natural.
It sounds more physical, more real.
The amazing thing about these is that when you watch them like this, it goes by so quickly. It's like
when you're commentating on it.
Well, no, even when you're watching it, just when it's all done, as opposed to working on it.
Totally. Because you're just working on second by second.
Totally.
Well, that's when we watch it and we're like, wow, that was 10 months of work right there.
22 minutes.
Done in 22 minutes.
And
here we are.
So I just really want to take this time to thank Ben, who I met when he was in high school. He was 17, and we've come so long together. And Jeremy, I've known you so long too, and you've just grown as a musician and making this show.
Brian, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity and taking a risk and believing in it.
It's paid off so well. In so many ways.
I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And I gotta thank Justin Brinsfield for rocking our voices today. Great stuff, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Ashley, thanks. Ashley. Good times.